Ben Fetzer with FreshStart Restoration. I'm going to walk you through a large project that we have just completed. Tomorrow we do the post-test with another company. We're going to use a third-party company to inspect and take air samples of this project that we've just completed. It's a large house, multiple water sources as far as the damage. This is one of them. This is on the third level. There was damage here, mold here, and the contact person did say that this was the area they knew of as far as a water leak. It's just a basic plumbing line. They believe that it froze and then caused a lot of water damage prior to being winterized because the home was vacant. So this room is one of the bedrooms. The mold was not terrible in this room. You can tell though we've taken down a lot of drywall, the majority of it as far as the walls. Water came from below. Mold wicked up the walls and created mold quite a ways up the wall, maybe halfway or so, but we've taken the drywall all the way to the ceiling. You can see the bathroom has got one wall taken out, but the other areas like the tub and the floor and the vanity in this one is fine. You might also know how shiny all these 2x4s are. That's because of a antimicrobial coating that's been applied, which does resist mold as well as cleans everything. You see how clean that is. It's as clean as a piece of plastic as far as being dust free. So it gives all of these surfaces brand new finish so that there's no more dust that's able to be moved through the air from the surface. The surface is now dust free. We'll keep on walking. Another room here. Notice we've got some exterior water damage, and that did have something to do with the mold in this room. Failure on the siding there, that's a stucco siding. And this wood was totally rotten as far as this plywood sheeting. So we made a cut with a small tool. It just got rid of all that rotten wood. It took forever. It's really tedious. You can still see the 2x6 there on the bottom plate. It's going to need a little bit of repair from a contractor. And got to keep going through this other room. Here's a bathroom that we did some work on. You can see we did take the vanity out of it. It had a leak somewhere in here, I believe, and definitely was affected with mold. That's the attic, which was not affected. Let's keep on going through the rest of this main upper level. Notice the ceiling. We had some water damage and we wanted to inspect that upper level. There was no attic access, so this was what we used for attic access. HVAC lines were cleaned. This used to have flex line. It does have a separate furnace for this top level, which was fed and supplied by flex line. Those have all been thrown away. The main trunk's been sealed off. The main trunk has been cleaned, and the main trunk, which did contain insulation inside of the actual steel, that also was coated with a HVAC coating so that it's not producing dust and the air can move through that line a lot faster and easier without being disturbed by debris. So, come on into the room. So this room had a small amount of mold up here. You can see this is another area where there's a lot of damage from the siding. And we have a roof leak. So we had some mold as a result of roof leaking, siding issues, exterior issues. You notice we take the windows so that when we spray the coating, none of the overspray can get on the glass. Everything back here was unaffected, in good shape. Head on down. Notice that the handrail is just got a temporary rail right now. That whole piece had mold at the bottom, at least down there at the end. So that's why this particular piece was removed, and the spindles and the actual rail itself. So this is all been wiped down actually just today. Everything is ready for inspection. Like we said, it's been wiped. All of the raw woods had the antimicrobial coating, and we're ready to get our clearance letter hopefully soon and give this back to the owner. So this is the main level. You can see still have equipment in position. It's just been turned off so we can take our test. This was really bad. This is a dining room. It had a tremendous amount of custom woodwork. You can still see the remnants that were unaffected by any mold. This whole room and this main level looked a lot like this. Lots of custom beams and crown molding and trim and paneling, all kinds of stuff. So let's actually just go into that room and make a big circle. This was an office, and it sustained a small amount of mold from the window above. So we saw the damage in that bedroom right above us. This is same basic area as far as where the water was coming in. It was affected by the same water source. That was it. It was all up in the ceiling and upper wall. The rest of the room was in good shape. We did take some of that apart to expose that wall there and make sure it wasn't affected. And now on to the dining room. So you can see under the window, more exterior siding failure above and below the window. Just rotten sheeting. Quite a bit of mold in this subfloor and floor joists. That was all treated, cleaned multiple times with a peroxide mold remover, and still has some staining, but it's been thoroughly cleaned. So moving through into the rest of this area. This was a laundry room. Right in this hallway here, this is the plumbing where one of the leaks came from, up in this area. So you can imagine water flowing into these two rooms. Hallway going into the laundry room, into the kitchen. And so this laundry room was affected by that leak. I think that's probably the only reason that it was moldy, was from this leak here. So on into this room. Again, you notice the shiny walls. This was the kitchen. This had nice cabinets, countertops, bunch of fancy furnishings, had cabinets along that wall. And it was all moldy, so it all came up and was discarded. Had an island you can see. Gas line has been capped. The floor right here had hardwood all through this main level. This was put in by us just to basically patch the hole, because when this hardwood was affected by the water, so was the actual subfloor. The subfloor had a bow in it that would go up in the center of this 4x8 sheet, like a foot. So imagine this floor bowing up about a foot because of water. That's what was happening right here. So that plywood was taken out and we just put a new piece in temporarily. Contractor can fix it in any way he wants to. This is kind of a hearth room. You can see the custom stone. That was left in place. There isn't mold behind the fireplace, but we did gut the rest of this room. So moving on to the living room. quite a bit of damage in this room too. Ceiling was pretty bad. That wall was not too bad, but it was mostly on the floor that had some mold. That did have custom built-in bookshelves. Those came out. The bottom of them were moldy, but the rest of them were really not. And you can see where we've been running our negative air out this window. I just sort of balled up this piece of plastic for tonight and closed the window outside so no air can come in through that tubing. And we'll just move on into the master bedroom. The little hall bath, unaffected by the mold. You can tell that we did go ahead and remove all the baseboard in these areas like this bathroom. To start with the floor, see if any mold had grown up the wall. And this room has not been affected, nor has this little hallway. Going into the master bedroom, same story. This wall was taken down just so we could expose the backside of this fireplace and figure out what's going on as far as contamination. The rest of the room, not affected, but it has been sanitized by damp wiping and HEPA vacuum. Master bathroom, pretty much unaffected here. I did pull the front of this little cabinet off, make sure that there was no mold underneath. Master bath right here, where's the toilet area. Totally different water source. Somewhere in this area must have been related to the toilet, because we did have some mold, at least right around in here, and we took the whole thing because I wanted to see how much mold there was. A little bit of mold here, that's probably due to just using the shower, honestly. The cabinets have been inspected by cutting a hole in the bottom of the cabinet and exposing the floor as well as the bottom of the cabinet. They're fine and haven't been affected. Baseboard removed under here. Here is another really interesting spot. We had, trying to find if it's been taken out, I think it was, a bulge, which is documented, but this, there it is, get a close-up of that. So that's a frozen pipe. That's how it expands when it freezes, and it just cracks the edge, spews water out. Somehow this was frozen and they winterized and shut off the water. Must have been really close to when this broke, because there was very little water damage and mold in this bathroom. A little bit on the floor maybe, a little bit on the and it did affect the basement, yes. But this could have destroyed this entire master bath and bed and office had this been actually flowing when the water was on. So this was a small amount of damage for such a serious break in this pipe. So, but this did flow down and affect the basement to some degree, but it seems like the water just went down. It wasn't a huge amount. Speaking of basement, let's go down and see it next. Okay, stairway going to the basement. Lots of damage. Not a ton here, but we did have siding issues again. That affected this area and created mold in this area. We pulled the ceiling. I think that was the only area that really had some siding related issue. There was mold in other spots, but let's go to the basement. So this is where most of the tremendous contamination came from. This was the basement, and we have spent huge amounts of time down here as well as resources getting the mold out, starting with content that was left. Lot that carpet throughout. Had custom woodwork as well in spots. This was a full-blown theater with a riser for the seating. So it took maybe 2 dumpsters just to get the basement gutted, and it was not fun. Lots of hard work, lots of trips to the dumpster, and very, very tedious, slow process to get this basement to the point where it is now, which is safe. You can see it's totally gutted. We have cleaned the HVAC lines down here as well as the 2 systems. And the coating has been applied, so everything is good now, but we'll go over some of the different areas and what we found. So we also did take the worst bottom plate in the basement. We wanted to know the condition of that board on the bottom side. So I did remove this bottom plate from this wall, turned it over, and it wasn't moldy. It's a treated lumber, so it really hadn't gotten moldy. Over here, we did the same thing in that section. That was the worst as far as staining on the bottom plate, and we took it out and didn't have mold under it as well. This is the main room. Down here is just some kind of a room going out to the walkout basement. That was an unfinished utility room around the HVAC system. And you can go this way if you want. So this was unfinished when we started, and we put a lot of time underneath those stairs getting the wood clean underneath there because it was really bad. We've had a dehumidifier blowing under there to keep it dry for a week. This is just a workbench that was here. It's all been cleaned and sealed. There's not a whole lot to talk about in this room other than this is a utility area, storage area, unfinished area. So, down at the end of this basement is where the worst of the mold was. We'll go look at it. This was plenty bad. Everything was bad. But the wet, as far as the moisture, there was a ton of moisture down here. Kitchenette was in this area, and the fireplace there, an insert that we took out. Bathroom is here. This little hallway thing was just an access hallway for your system in your theater room. So they had a big fancy theater with speakers and such, and that's how you would plug them in and set them up. Full basement, bathroom, that's all been gutted. And this is where a lot of the water damage and mold was. It took a lot of time running these dehumidifiers down on this end just to get the humidity dry or lowered and get the wood dry. That took about a week before we could actually get the moisture content out of the wood and then get the humidity under control. So this has been cleaned multiple times, multiple applications of peroxide mold remover, lots of vacuuming, lots of agitation, and it's just been scrubbed and just tediously cleaned. So painfully cleaned. So you can see the rust on the light. That's a good sign of how much moisture we've been dealing with. I'm positive the contractor will throw that away. And there'll be a lot more work done as far as just changing stuff out, but we have not taken those out. And we've done very little, addressing electrical wires. We've had to obviously unhook some stoves. Both of the kitchens had stoves with 220 wiring, and we had to deal with that as far as unhooking it safely, containing it until it can be hooked up to a new unit. But anyway, this is the basement. It was really bad. It's taken a huge effort to get it to the place it is now. And more wood rot, some over there, some here. Quite a bit, in all honesty. A section here, down over here on the other side of this window. Great big section of failure somewhere in this stucco. So all that sheeting's been pulled off, and it's going to need a pretty serious repair as far as the stucco. Again, the windows have been covered up so we don't overspray on them. Bulkheads were really difficult. All these wires, this is mostly speaker wire. That's just been left in place. We've sprayed it with the coating. Gotten up into these bulkheads, put a lot of time into that. I did that myself to make sure we spray the coating on all the crevices. And Ben Fetzer, FreshStart Restoration. Thanks for watching, and this is our massive project. If you need anything as far as mold is concerned, moldkansascity.com, FreshStart Restoration. Have a good day.